Now we're moving into the 12-minute interval training with the VICTURY Ball. Once again, it's linked to the previous one, our 9-minute. We'll start with what we ended with in the 9-minute interval training, and that is full volleys and half volleys, moving laterally while performing these tasks bilaterally. David, go to it. And you see the comfort level that David has with the ball. Bilateral, using his right and his left. That's very good. Notice how his ankle is locked as he's moving through the activity. That's really something we look for. We want to make sure that that ankle is locked so that all of his strikes are as strong and as accurate as they can be. Now he's finishing up his third set of full volleys, and now he'll move into his 3 sets of half volleys. It's really well done, David. I like how you're getting it right off the floor. So that's the key part of this activity, is when you get that half volley, you really want to strike the ball immediately after it hits the floor. The nice thing about the crunch core construction is players are going to hear that much better in this space than they would ever outside. So if you go outside and you try to teach a player how to hit half volleys and you talk about listening for the sound, it's difficult for them. But inside on this floor with the VICTURY Ball, you can hear that sound and you can hear how quickly the strike comes after that ball hits the ground. So David right now is finishing up his last set of half volleys, and he's doing a great job with it. Okay, well done, David. Now what we're going to do is really get his cardio going and also get him doing some quick skills on the baseboard. So it's going to start inside of the foot, hitting the baseboard, but his movements are going to be a little bit more dramatic. So he's going to hit it to the middle now, then he's going to move out to the side, and then all the way across here, and then back to the middle, and you're going to see David is going to do it bilaterally. It's all trying to do it to touch if possible, and you can see that he's using both his right and his left foot. He's going to be doing 8 sets of this. So when you do this, you're going to get at least 72 touches just in the short period of time that you're doing these 8 sets. So it's a quick, very effective and efficient way to get the kind of touches you need in order to improve as a player. So you see David is striking these consistently at the baseboard. He's using a nice prep touch to move the ball across his body in order to get the next opportunity to strike the ball. And then moves across, and you see him moving with the left and the right. One of the things you'll notice too about what David's doing is not every touch is going to be perfect. And that's one of the things that we want players to understand. What the VICTURY Ball allows you to do indoors is to get a lot of repetitions, knowing that not every touch is going to be perfect. But when you're indoors, you're not spending a lot of time chasing a ball around the field that you haven't struck quite right. Players have all been there, where they're training outdoors and they're trying to play against a rebounder. They miss the rebounder, the ball's now 40 yards away, and it takes them another minute before they get the next chance to get a touch on a ball to improve. Here indoors, you can have a bad touch, but the ball is instantly back at your feet, and you can continue to get those repetitions and improve. David's doing a great job, and because there's 8 sets to this, you're going to get a little tired. You're going to feel it a little bit, but that's another important part of VICTURY Ball training. We want your heart rate up a little bit whenever possible, because being able to do these skills with an elevated heart rate can be extremely valuable if a player wants to have an impact late in a game. So after David completes his 8 sets with the inside of the foot on the baseboard. Then we're going to move into hitting it higher. He's going to look to hit it above the tape and get another 8 sets doing that. And again, it's just all about quick feet and agility. So look at David receiving it outside of the foot, knocks it to the side, has to move a little bit more dramatically on that touch and gets through. Good, knocks it to the side. That's really well done. So you can see the skill that David is using here to have a lot of success with this activity. Again, I want to emphasize that this allows players to do good training that will make them better during times when they would likely not be training because they're indoors. They only have maybe 15 minutes to do something. They're not going to pull out a regulation soccer ball and knock it against the living room wall. But with the Victory Ball, it's around the house, it's on the floor, kids see it, they have a few minutes, they knock it around. The other thing that you're seeing with David is he's having a lot of success with his weaker foot. And that's an important part of what we're trying to accomplish with the Victory Ball. A lot of times, players don't work their weaker foot because working with their weaker foot with a regulation ball can be frustrating. They don't have a lot of success with it. But here you can see, even when David is working with his weaker foot, he can still get solid, effective strikes on the ball. Great job, David. Now, the next group of skills are going to be moving him in the same way, but now can he lift the ball above the 18-inch line and strike lower on the ball, simulating a service or a shot high into the corner of the goal. So David, now shooting just above the 18-inch line. Great job, first try. Excellent. And so you see the technique's a little bit different. He's hitting lower on the ball. He's hitting it with the laces, and that allows him to pop the ball up in the air. And that's extremely important when you're wanting to clear a ball as a defender, serve a ball over the top to a forward from the midfield position, crossing a ball, or ultimately shooting and trying to beat a keeper high into the goal. So David is doing a great job of hitting low on the ball and lifting that up into the wall. Again, the nice thing about the Victory Ball is you can be doing this in the house, and if you were to hit a ball into another room or you were to hit a window with a regulation ball, you'd do some damage. But here, we can have a touch that goes into the other room or hits a window, and we're all good because it's the Victory Ball. And occasionally you have a friend who will grab it for you and throw it right back in, and within a few seconds, David's right back at it again. So, no damage, no problem. Ball's not always gonna go where you want it, but you can still do so, play in the house with confidence that no matter what you do with this ball, you're not going to create any damage in the house. You can see that David is working really hard here, getting a lot of reps, a lot of touches. Remember that 1,000 touches a day is really what we're after. But he's doing it right next to a lamp, right next to glassware. And there's no concerns because the Victory Ball is designed with its crunch core construction to give you the feel of a regulation soccer ball, give you the sound that's so satisfying when you strike a regulation soccer ball, but without the danger of breaking things in the house. So it provides an opportunity to do in-home, indoor, full force training. And you'll find all you have to do is put a Victory Ball in your home and your kids will naturally start knocking it around. And they'll start improving because they're enjoying improving. They're really going to come back to the game and have a renewed sense of joy about kicking a soccer ball. And that's one of the things that we emphasize with our players at all levels, whether they be players that play at the national team level or any other level lower than that, is a love affair with the ball is one of the greatest gifts you can give a player, and we believe the Victory Ball helps create that love affair with the ball because it is fun to train with. As you can see, David's having a lot of success because the Victory Ball allows him to have success bilaterally. That's going to strengthen him. That's going to make him much more confident when he goes out on the field with a regulation ball. Great job, David. Okay, and the next part now is David is going to hit the tape. Now, already he has done 16 sets. He's had over 144 touches in a short period of time, so it's going to get tiring, and that's a good thing. So here we're going to save the most difficult technical part of this, hitting the tape, being that accurate when his heart rate is highest, when he's most fatigued. So 8 sets, same way, try to hit the tape, David. Now, why do we challenge players in this way? This is difficult, and some might say it would be discouraging. But we have found with training many kids with the Victory Ball that they don't get discouraged because the ball is so quickly back at their feet. If they haven't hit the mark every time, so there he hits it perfectly twice in a row, that feels great. 3 times in a row, that really feels great. But occasionally they're a little bit high or they're a little bit low. But within a second, the ball's back at their feet and they have another chance to hit it. One of the difficulties of a regulation soccer ball is when you're outside, you spend a lot of time chasing it. Indoors, you don't have to chase the ball as much because you have so many different ways to keep the ball at your feet. But of course, we don't recommend that you do any of the things we're showing you today with the Victory Ball with a regulation soccer ball, because a regulation soccer ball would do a whole lot of damage in a home. The Victory Ball doesn't leave a mark. We have been playing against this wall for a long time, and you could inspect it very closely and not find a single mark on it. You can play with the Victory Ball anywhere in your home. Be creative. We've had players who open up their side-loading dryers and washing machines, and they'll shoot to try to get it in those spots. Be as creative as you can. Your training will only be limited by your imagination. So David is doing a great job with this very difficult task, and that is hitting the mark on the wall consistently and doing so while moving laterally and achieving this by doing the skill bilaterally with his stronger foot, with his weaker foot. One of the things that we have found is that players tend to use their dominant foot 85% of the time in training, 95% of the time in matches. And what we're trying to do is encourage kids to flip that script and train with 85% of their touches being on their weaker foot. That's where a tremendous amount of improvement will occur. You will never find a piano player who will be successful using only one hand. And the same is true with soccer. You have to be able to be bilateral if you hope to be successful. If you can only play with one foot, you're going to miss out on half your chances. Training with the Victory Ball here, and you can see it from David, shows just how effectively it helps players develop bilaterally. Excellent job, David. Okay? Now, moving into the next set, you're going to follow the same sequence, but you're going to do low, high, tape, and then move. And he's going to do 3 sets of this. So low, and I like how he gets that ball right away, high, and then tape, and now he moves right on the tape. Brilliant job, David. Even with all of the fatigue he must be feeling right now, working really hard in this 12-minute interval, he is still doing some things that are very impressive in terms of his technique. So he's going to move through this, and he's going to do these 3 sets. And then after he's done with these 3 sets, like with the 6-minute interval and the 9-minute interval, he'll go to bilateral juggling, and he'll try to get as many juggles in the time remaining as possible. We like this because it gives players feedback on how efficiently they're getting through the activity. So if the first time they do the activity, 12 minutes is up before they even get through this skill work, then they know that they can improve. Over time, they will get through all of these skills, and then they'll have some time left to spare, and in that time they might get 15 juggles. But over time they might get more time, 30, 45, and they can see clearly how they're developing and how they're improving. That is excellent work, David. Great job, really well done. And you can still hear, I mean, even though he's a little bit tired, you can hear that snap. And that's another thing about the crunch core construction that we have found with the VICTURY Ball. It's a very satisfying sound. Kids are loving the fact that this ball makes some noise when you hit it right. And that gives them not only the feel on the foot, but also an audio reinforcement. They hear that they struck it properly, and that sound is very satisfying to them. Okay? So great job. Just to give you an idea of that sound, when you strike it here, you'll hear the sound of that crunch core, and that's something that players enjoy. So with the last bit of your 12 minutes, go ahead, David, and juggle bilaterally. See how many you can get with the 12 minutes you have remaining.